Thank you, Hannah. I am here at Fort Vancouver with Dr. John McLaughlin, the Chief Trader of Hudson Bay Fur Company. I will have a few questions with you, Mr. McLaughlin, and you will be free to go on to your job. Then later, I will be meeting up with George Simpson and asking him a few questions, and we will return to Freddy's Cuddlesworth, and we'll recap on these interviews. Okay, Mr. McLaughlin, first question. What is your proudest achievement as the boss man of the Hudson Bay Company?
I have many feats I am proud of, but the one I'm most proud of is blocking out the American Fur Traders Company. Well, I wasn't actually blocking them out. It was more relocating them to the southern side of the Columbia River. The major parts we were not interested in.
Okay, that seems like a great idea. So you basically found a loophole in the Hudson Bay policies. So you convinced them to go to the southern side. I would have never thought that.
Yes, exactly.
I asked this to all fur traders, but who do you think owns the land of the Oregon country?
I know for a fact my people originally from Europe own this land. We are the real people, not them Indians, Spaniards, and Russians. And the real people that owned it, and we are not going to stand for this bogus. If the Indians think that this is theirs, we will stand up and fight against what is ours.
Wow, many people don't think as strongly as you do about this topic. As leader of the Hudson Bay Fur Company, what are you going to do to keep it the largest in all of the lands?
Like I said before, I will keep them foreigners out of our land, and of course, make sure that it is our territory, and let no others steal our beavers, otters, foxes, and badgers.
Thank you for your time today, Mr. McLaughlin. Now we go over to awaiting George Simpson and ask him related questions, and he will answer with his own opinion. Thank you for your time today, Mr. McLaughlin.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me today, Mr. Bobby. Thank you for having me today, Mr. Bobby.
My pleasure. Let's get into the first question. What was the most important thing you did for the Hudson Bay Company?
It's nearly the same as what Mr. McLaughlin here did. I made sure the trappers from the Rockies did not make it any further west. This is our land, and no one else should be able to take it away from us. Also, with the low amount of animals that we will have if we let the people from the Rockies come over, the largest and most successful fur trading business will no longer be the largest.
This answered my next question of who owns the Oregon country, and why do you so strongly believe in your answer?
Well, it has to be ours. We set up this camp with many other fur companies, meaning this land has to be ours.
Good point. However, the Indians were here before any of us whites were here.
That may be true, but the land still belongs to us because we were the ones that set up land here.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Simpson. From Colonial4News, this is Robbie Bobby at Fort Vancouver, signing out.
Thank you. All right, Freddie. Founded in 1823 by Major Andrew Henry and General William Ashley, the Rocky Mountain Fur Company became the fourth major fur company behind the Hudson's Bay Company, the Pacific Fur Company, and the Northwest Fur Company. The company's main trapping territory was in the Rockies, but some trappers, called mountain men, trapped along the coast of southern Oregon and northern California. Most of their general business concepts were radically different. Instead of trading posts to gather the revenue, they had an annual rendezvous to attract their trappers. The last major rendezvous was held in 1842. The Rocky Mountain Fur Company was a very loosely run and unorganized company, in great contrast to the very tightly run and organized and very neat Hudson's Bay Company. In 1826, the company's original owners sold their company to the three well-known mountain men, Jedediah Smith, William Sublett, and David Jackson. The mountain men were experts of the Rocky Mountains and the Oregon country, and knew all of the best routes, passes, settlement sites, and natural resources. The most important discovery was Bell's Pass, through the Rocky Mountains, and that pass could accommodate wagon caravans. The mountain men passed on their knowledge of the region to the American settlers, and in this way they aided the settlement of the Northern country. The Rocky Mountain Fur Company struggled to compete with the Hudson's Bay Company, despite the expertise of their mountain men, because the Hudson's Bay Company had a virtual monopoly of trading posts in North America, especially in the western portion. The mere existence of the Rocky Mountain Fur Company still provided competition for the Hudson's Bay Company. Now, we'll be right back after this short commercial break provided to you by Beaver Pelts.
Did you hear about the news?
Yeah, it was so crazy. They had a lot of stuff on there, and it was like, wow.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, William Clark.
How would you like your very own beaver pelts?
I would love that.
Well, get one now for only $11.38 at your local you'll get a free clothing and a free tie.
I want
It's
some.
awesome deal.
Give me all this.
Now go to your local clothing store now. Yeah.
Call 1-800-BEAVER. Beaver pelts make your head warmer.
That's right, Freddy's Cuddlesworth. 4 great countries have been arguing over who owns this wonderful land. Even though arguments carried down, fur trading force still appear all over the West Coast. Life continues on for many fur trappers and succeed at capturing many unique animals. While most countries come here to establish explorations, a few have made a very successful business line here. I'm here with John Jacob Astor, the owner of Ford Historian. How do you feel about the debate? What evidence do you have to prove this land belongs to America?
It's clear, isn't it? Look at this history. We have Lewis and Clark and Robert Gray who explored these areas, and that's only the beginning. Thomas Jefferson bought the Louisiana Purchase, and that borders the Oregon country. We have a fort built on this land. That should automatically make it ours.
What would you say if I told you that Great Britain is trying to take over Fort Astoria and change its name to Fort George?
If that happened, I would expect that America would send an entire fleet of ships to fight and win back Fort Astoria.
All the other countries have forts on these lands, as well as explorers that explored these areas. Why do you think America deserves this land more than they do?
Russia's explorer only explored the northern part of Canada. Great Britain has only sailed here. They haven't crossed over the dangerous Louisiana territory and gone from east to west like Lewis and Clark did. Spain is just claiming their territory stretches up to the Oregon country, which it doesn't. If anything, the Louisiana Purchase stretches west up to the Oregon country. I would like to thank the efforts of President Monroe for exterminating Russia's and Spain's claim to the land. However, I'm still very upset that Great Britain thinks this land is theirs.
Very interesting opinion, Mr. Astor. Reporting live from Colonial4News, Robbie Bobby, signing out.
Thank you, Freddie. I'm here today with President Monroe. Hello, President Monroe. So your term ended just a few years ago, and now I'm wondering whether or not you would like to inform the public about what you accomplished during your term.
Well, Timothy, I worked to satisfy those that had the desire to settle in the Oregon country. I established the Adams-Onis Treaty, which released the Spanish from their claim to the country, and finally I helped write the Monroe Doctrine, which terminated Russia's claims, since it declared America's opposition to any fur colonization. It was primarily aimed at Russia, of course.
And see, now it's just Great Britain and America who are debating over who owns this land, right? So what steps are being taken in order to make sure you have claims to the land?
Well, President John Quincy Adams has established a joint settlement for the time being between us and Great Britain, which, yes, is the only country still holding its claims against us. As of this year, the joint settlement has been renewed and to be discussed at a later date. No one really understands when and how this argument will go down, and I worry if we lose this debate that we will lose many other international debates that follow.
How do you feel about Mr. Adams as a president? Do you feel that he is qualified, that he has done a good job, and that he will lead America to take over Oregon country?
I believe that he is more than qualified and is a highly capable individual with an extraordinarily brilliant mind. However, we should not have renewed that joint settlement, and we should have forced our way into taking the land. The only reason why I think his actions were good is because it didn't get us into another war for the time being. But eventually, if this continues, there will be a violent outburst. We must act now to take the land and to avoid a war, and I only hope that Mr. Adams will take this responsibility and handle it correctly.
Great advice for a wise man, if I may say so myself. Now I must ask, what are you doing personally to further steps for taking over this beautiful section of land?
Well, I'm still continuing to advise and try and cause change in the politics of today, but I'm not sure if my actions will be of much use anymore nowadays. However, I shall always try and cause a movement that I think is worth the cause.
Thank you for your time today, President Monroe.
You're welcome, sir. I've always admired your work, Timothy.
Reporting live from Washington, D.C., Timothy George, Colonial4News.